You're listening to SM Media.
Hi, folks, and welcome to a new episode of the Ref's View. Your look at the action over the weekend in the Scottish Premiership, covered by two former Grade 1 referees. I want to thank all our partners for joining us on this new venture. Just to clear a couple of things up on what's been kind of going about in social media, you will have seen some things kicking about. I will just say off the bat, they're completely not true. And this is the only place you can find Steve and Des on a weekly basis as they look at all the referee decisions over the weekend, analyse all the big calls. And as I say, the more consistent views will be on here. So you will see that every week with Steve, Des, and myself. It's Scott McPike here. Always a pleasure to be your host, obviously the host of SM Media as well. I'm delighted that Des and Steve are joining me on a weekly basis. So I'll just introduce the guests before we get into quite a busy week in terms of one game. Not a lot happened other than that. It's a pleasure to welcome, first of all, Steve Conroy.
Hello.
And it's a pleasure to welcome Des Roach.
I can't even say hello as high pitched as he can. Hello.
No, pleasure to be here, guys. Obviously, like in terms of decisions, we did have a couple of big calls, but they all seem to be in the one game. So let's just get into the action over the weekend. We should just say as well, we are recording this before Hearts and Aberdeen. So if that turns into be the Scottish football equivalent of WrestleMania, we will look at it on Twitter after the game. But as I say, we're recording this just before that game. Hopefully there's no decisions in that. Fingers crossed. It's been fairly quiet. Where else to start but Tannadice, where quite a number of decisions happened. If you watched that game in full, as I did last night, there was not a lot of drama in it until the 60th minute. It is obviously a bit of a messy afternoon at Tannadice for probably the referee and VAR. We'll get into the decisions one by one, but you wanted to clear something up just in terms of what the kind of process was that day, because I think there was a bit of an issue over the afternoon with VAR around all the grounds, I believe.
Just think that when you're looking at that you go straight away to the goalkeeping challenge. Why is Don not getting involved? And Don is a fantastic referee, absolutely fantastic referee. Probably one of our top two referees. But the goalkeeper's come out. He's come out high. He's come out fast. He's got no opportunity for the ball. He's just wiped the boy out, and I'm taking my referee glasses off here. But that's a red card, and he has to get involved there. And he's actually sold Matthew up the river there.
Obviously, Matthew McDermott was the referee. Don Robertson was the VAR in that game. We will just start, Steve, with that Jack Walton tackle on Olasanya. It was a yellow. It was immediately given as a yellow. As Des says, VAR doesn't intervene. What do you think? Because I'll give my opinion in a second, but in terms of yourself, what do you think of that?
Well, we'll talk about the names and the actual officials in a wee while. But you know, for me, for this one, I have some sympathy with how things went. Realistically, that's a red card. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that that's a red card. But I have some sympathy in the fact that the ball, if it wasn't already out, it was going out. It wasn't denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Was it mistimed? Did he just make an arse of it? So I wouldn't be clamouring for a VAR intervention there. I think that we could all just about say that one's a matter of opinion. But we'll say it again, and it seems to be every week. Des's term is a high tariff yellow. I'll say an orange card. That one could go either way. So
Steve, I'm going to disagree.
No, I'm
going to disagree.
Don't have as much of an issue with that one, but I'm accepting that is a red card. But I'm not clamouring for an intervention because I think that you could get away with that being a matter of opinion. My opinion is that it's a red, but you could it's not because it's Don that's VARing. In my opinion, he's probably the best ref that we've had since you and me, Des. But I wouldn't be hammering at anybody's door to say that was anything other than a matter of opinion. But I'm sending it off.
If I called you across and said, Steve, I think you need to have a look at this, what are you saying?
Oh, accepting it. That's what I'm saying. That's a red card for me. But the opposite of that, if I'm sending that off and you say to me, "Oh, Steve, have a wee look at that," I'm not entirely sure. I'd be all right with that opinion as well. That for me is more an opinion piece, which is the beauty of football. The beauty of it. So I don't have a huge issue with that one. I'm agreeing though that they got it wrong.
But is that not where VAR? Is that not where VAR can be a useful tool? Because all that needs to be said there is, even if VAR doesn't think it's a red card, is that not an opportunity to go to Matthew? Listen, this tackle, just have a wee look at it, and he can have the option to stick to the original decision. Surely that option's there.
Nope. And my great bugbear, the same as Desi's, although we're different on this one, and that's fine. VAR is there for a clear and obvious error.
But he can look. Surely he can look at that and see if he's made a clear and obvious error. Surely it's left to the referee.
No, because that way the VAR opinion is saying his opinion supersedes the referee. That way is, it's a bit melodramatic, but that way is chaos. And the laws of the game are full of every instance is in the opinion of the referee. So if VAR is going to get involved, it has to be a cast iron. And that's why a lot of the time when you say, the referee's getting called over, his opinion, his or her opinion must be that I've made a clear and obvious error for VAR to get involved. If it's an opinion, VAR has nothing to do with it. No matter how close, we keep saying, right, that any offence is a sliding scale. At one end, you can't see my hand, and one end, it's an absolute clear offence. At the other end, it's an absolute clear no offence. But the closer that those incidents get to each other, the more there is a grey area. And grey area, that's in the opinion of the referee. And it doesn't matter if Des thinks differently from me and I think differently from Des. That's irrelevant. It's what the ref saw. And if the ref's seen it and had a clear view of it, you put it down to the ref's opinion. I'm saying that I don't agree with the ref's opinion, but that's my opinion, and that's all it is.
I just think with that decision, to clear it up and to, as I say, I don't think, I've never thought the referee needs to come out and say definitively, this is the reason I made this decision. I don't agree with that, but I think the easy way to calm that down and maybe explain it a bit better to Stephen Robinson is to go, right, VAR has a look at it and the referee can stick with his original decision. That's surely what that's for. VAR doesn't need to be when he's sent over, it needs to be a clear and obvious error. Surely he can go over just to keep himself right. Is that
no? It's Des. What is it you say, Des? Football is skill and error. We can have error. You're allowed to get it wrong, in my opinion. In Des's opinion, you're allowed to get it wrong, but that's an opinion. There is absolutely no way that you can have unanimity in football. It's just not possible. My violent-ometer is set differently from yours, and yours is set differently to Des's. And that's the beauty of football.
Yeah.
It's an opinion piece. And I'll say it again, I think that they got that one wrong. But I'm happy that that's their opinion. And VAR should not be anywhere near an opinion. If VAR gets involved in that, where does it stop?
Yeah, well, that's when it comes back to re-refereeing games.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much what it comes back to. So for us, I would rather get the decision, I don't want to say I want the decision wrong on the pitch, but I'd rather be backed up and get it right, because that's how the game with them will impact on the game. But VAR wasn't there for that. It's clear and obvious. And if Matthew has felt that that's his decision and that's his moment at that time, and if Don hasn't intervened, you've got to go with Matthew's decision.
Yeah. And
Yep.
there's obviously other times where VAR is used. There was, I don't know if you've seen this because it wasn't covered. It was the incident was shown in Sports Scene, but it didn't show any analysis on it. There was an incident between Gogic and Strain. I don't know if you've both seen it. That wasn't given as a penalty. Now that looked to me to be the most obvious of the three. One that wasn't given, because to me Gogic comes over there and denies Strain a clear shot, a clear opportunity to get the ball across. So to me that's more of a penalty than the other two. But again, I'm open to hearing why that maybe wasn't a penalty.
I was all right with that, and we all know how we seem to talk about Gogic every week. That he's robust in inverted commas, and without letting on again who I support, he's the closest to Roy Aitken I've seen since I used to go pay into football. You know what you're getting. I don't think that was a foul, but again, in that one, you couldn't argue if somebody gave that as a foul because it's just an opinion. Everybody sees it differently, but just because I see it differently from you and Des doesn't mean any of us are right. So if you had
never a foul,
couldn't you argue?
Never a foul.
No, I agree. But if it had been given as a foul, you take your chances.
No. Gogic is a very robust player, right? And every week, see if you looked at the tackle last week against Aberdeen. See, 10 years ago when you and I were doing it, that's not even a yellow card. That's just a robust challenge. He's a fantastic player. Fantastic player.
Get up. Get up.
No, never a chance. Never a chance. That's anything other than a great challenge.
The first penalty that is given was the one that it was Kevin Holt and Marcus Fraser. It looks like a coming together again. I've seen different views on it, and I'm quite eager to see how you both look at this. The first penalty that's given, I think Fraser is booked for this. Steve, what was your thoughts?
Shocking. I was saying that the other ones, the other ones, there's the mitigation and it's an opinion. This one was just an absolute howler. I can't, looking at it again and again and again, and that's the beauty of Sports Scene, but that's what VAR should have, and how they can look at that over and over again and say that that's a penalty. Do you know that if that is the benchmark, then you can't tackle in the box. You just can't do it. If anything, the foul was the other way. It wasn't a foul.
It's a coming together.
The other way around.
Yeah. Like, Des, it just looks like they both kick each other. So how can you punish one for that? Like, it just, I don't know.
You can't really say anything about it, unfortunately. It was a 50-50 challenge. Marcus Fraser and Grant Holt both went for the ball. Grant Holt was probably the aggressor, and he's came down, stud showing. We're here to support referees, but I can't support that one.
No,
it was. It was entirely wrong.
There's another penalty given as well. That penalty was obviously saved. It was actually well saved. It was actually what I like a goalkeeper to do. A penalty is just get as low as possible and stop it out. But the second one, I don't think we've any issues that this is a penalty. The one that Fraser Phil's Moult. Are we both in agreement? All in agreement that's a penalty?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because again, like what? But the one question I've got with it is why is it upgraded to a red? Surely it's a yellow or nothing. I don't get it.
I agree with you completely. And again, we can put that down to opinion. And obviously it's opinion because you've seen the exact same incident and we've arrived at a different decision. Perfectly valid. But if it's a red card, then it's either violent conduct, serious foul play, second yellow, or denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Because I thought he was booked originally for the first penalty, but he wasn't booked.
No.
So again, it just makes even less sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. None. And again, I don't see the foul. But if you're given a foul in that instance, I'm giving it the other way. Okay. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
No, totally agree. To me, it was the two of them were physically, what would you would say, hustle. Two were having a wee go at each other, and in that moment in time, the St Mirren players going back towards the goal. Louis Moult's coming over him. Marcus Fraser's giving as much back. Do you know what? Just give a foul and just get the ball back up the park and restart. That's in-game management. But there was nothing in that for me. Absolutely nothing.
But again, that we're going back to the first one as well. See if you're given that as a foul in the penalty area. If that's a benchmark, you cannot. There is no such thing as contact in the penalty area anymore.
No,
that's bread and butter. That every time a ball goes into the penalty area, you're getting that. So if that's a foul, sorry, the game's done.
Well, that Stephen Robinson, I just want to read his comments here and just want to see your views on it. He says, I can't make a call on it for the first one from the angle I've seen. For the second one, if we're sending people off for that, I didn't think it looked a penalty. Then he goes on to say, if that's a red card, the game is, you can make your own mind up. I don't think Dundee United thought it was a penalty either. It was saved, so it did make us lose the game. I can only concern myself with the things we can control. Now, that obviously, like Stephen Robinson, I understand totally. You've lost the game. It's hard to disagree with him in terms of what he's saying there, because, like, if it's not a red card, you can't give a straight red card for that unless there's something we're completely oblivious to. But I can't see it.
No, as we said, if it's a red card, it's either violent conduct, serious foul play, second caution, or denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. It'll be interesting for the next episode of Willie Vision.
Yes.
For them to say which of those four applied in that instance. But again,
I'll guarantee you, he'll put it down to denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. That's what they'll put it against.
Do you know what? I hope he does, because then we could get stuck right in. Tell me how that's denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity.
It's not.
Try and explain that as denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. But
there's nothing else. There's nothing else can hang his hat on.
On that grounds, though, like if that's the definitive reason they've given, they've obviously said that's a red card. Then, like, if they're saying it's an obvious goal scoring opportunity, then it is a penalty. Like, so what is the kind of balance there? Like, can you book it? Can you give a penalty for a goal scoring opportunity and book them at the same time?
If it's denying an opportunity, it's a red card.
So why does he book them?
Oh, that's what we're saying. No idea.
Right.
No idea. Not every foul is a caution, and not every foul in the penalty area needs to be cautioned. So if you're given a penalty for that, and I still think it's inexplicable that that's a penalty. First, why? Oh, I just don't understand it.
Surely, if he's booked them, then it's just a normal foul, right? It's not. If he's booked them, then it's not denying a goal scoring opportunity. VAR have obviously gave that as a red card. Surely.
Yeah.
So the referees realistically got that right. You can argue if the penalties or not, but the referees potentially got that right. Like, you can give a penalty for that, but the VAR said you've got that wrong.
I'm disagreeing again. No,
but what I mean is that you can see maybe why a penalty was given and a yellow was given. What I can't understand is a VAR saying, as you rightly say, that's a clear and obvious error. You have to send him off.
Yep.
That's the bit that's mystifying me.
I get that, but do you know, if I'm given it'll be the same as you, Des. I'm speaking for you. If I'm given a penalty for that, again, it's not a penalty in my opinion. If I'm given a penalty for that, I'm not cautioning them. If that happened, if you're not denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, that's a routine foul.
Yeah.
A routine foul, 15 yards in the opposite direction, you're not cautioning them. So why are you cautioning that? The penalty in that instance is more than enough. It's not a penalty.
Yeah.
You're given a penalty and nothing.
Yeah, totally agree. If that had happened 2 yards outside the penalty area, it's a coming together. Players have been tussling. They're both having a go at each other. For me, I would err on the side of the defender, get the ball back up. Fine. But there's no red card offence being caught in there. It's not denying, and the word is obvious goal scoring opportunity. There is no obvious goal scoring opportunity there. It's just two players naturally coming together, tussling for the ball, get on with it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I don't think any manager would have any will about that either.
in terms of obviously that's the only kind of real game that had an impact, like any kind of real decision making on Saturday. But like the one thing about Stephen Robinson is obviously like you do get referees who managers who do get very, very critical. I think Stephen Robinson probably handles that pretty well, just in terms of like I kind of see where he's come from, but it's not like he's putting the boot into the ref. You can tell it's just ultimate frustration that A, they've lost the game, and B, this might have led to it. Like again, I think that's the right way for a manager to deal with it.
I don't have any issues with what Stephen Robinson said. You have to have an opinion on these things, and if you're sticking a mic up somebody's nose immediately after a game,
yeah,
a lot of the time you're going to get, and we've all heard it, you're going to get absolute nonsense. We was done kind of thing. That was totally reasoned, and you can't have an argument with what he said. But it's talking about both of those incidents, and it may be a bit offensive to some people. I have issue with the reaction in both Dundee United players. The reaction that they had to both incidents. Neither of them helped the situation with the way that they went down. And I'm going to say again that Don Robertson is our best referee just now. So I wonder what he has been told, that the referee team has been told that Don has seen fit in both of those instances to get involved and give it clearly, in our opinion, in the wrong direction. That you cannot have argument for what they've the decisions that they've made.
Should that have an impact though? Like if a player is making a meal of it as such, like obviously yourselves obviously have refereed hundreds and hundreds of games. Should that have an impact on a referee's decision?
No, it shouldn't. But
no.
But flinging yourself down like doing an Neymar, the aim of that is to influence the referee and to get a decision your way. And that's what both of those instances were. I don't think that they had an impact on the decision that was made, but that's what they tried to do. So they're not blameless. We got it wrong, but those players tried to get that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we hark back to, as we all say, if someone's feeding a dive or doing something to influence and coerce the game, then it should be a red card because it's cheating.
Cheating.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've always said, and I will always stick by that. Always stick by that. If you are trying to coerce a referee into making a decision through a falsification of what you're doing, then it's cheating. Red card, get off.
In terms of obviously the results, again, big result for the D United. Celtic obviously beat Ross County, a clinical first half display. Hibs, who, again, if you watch the Hibs Aberdeen game during the week, I mean, you can't help but feel sorry for David Grace. I think a 3-0 win at Motherwell will help him massively. Kelly drew 1-1 with Dundee. We're just recording this after Rangers 1-0 away to St Johnstone. Rangers can't follow up domestically what they do in Europe. We've been down that road before. And one of those kind of weekends, guys, where I don't think anything else decision-wise was I don't think there was anything that really caught the eye, was there?
No. And there'll be people this decision was wrong, that decision was right. Fair, that's the whole point.
And send them over if you've got anything that we've missed. Do let us know, because they say we're only going by what we've seen. If there's anything that you've missed, anything we've missed, anything you want discussed, I'm sure Des and Steve will be happy to.
More than happy.
Answer your query.
Listen, if you go from Japan to Jamaica to New Zealand to Papua New Guinea, let us know. We'll always make a comment and we'll always be honest. You might not like it.
The Copa Libertadores final as well. 39 seconds, I think it was. And I sent it into you. Like, it's pretty bad, isn't it? Like you're giving that a red all day long. You're actually probably giving that some sort of criminal charge.
Yeah, she get 6 months for that, far less a penalty. It's just, wow.
But like again, like I remember speaking to someone who was at the Scotland Uruguay game in '86, and again, I always find this fascinating. And obviously, that was a famous game where the Uruguay player, I can't remember the guy's name, gets sent off in under a minute. Like,
Yep.
it takes a lot of
Yeah.
bottle for a referee to make that call in a massive game like that. Like, it can, do you know what I mean? Like, there's some referees who won't do it. So, like, it's a big call to make.
For the 45 seconds.
I beat you.
You know, and they you know, done Celtic Rangers, done all these things, but the hardest game ever, and it will remain, was Auchinleck Cumnock. They were just, but 45 seconds. But even Des would have sent them off.
I beat you. I done my time coming up through the amateurs. I won't mention the player or the two teams. A player come on as a substitute, and I done him 17 seconds. I do you know what I'm talking. The ball came in from my corner. The boy was on. He was always on to do a job. The ball's come across my corner, and he just absolutely laid out the goalkeeper. He was on for one job. I didn't even need to get. I don't even think I had the card out, and he was all walking to the shower. He was already on, and it was actually David Dickinson's father, who was one of our best mates. He was driving me up the road, or we were coming up the road together, and he just went and went, I don't think I've ever seen anything that quick. I went, well, he's also sent on for a job.
The one thing I was going to bring up, and we got that sent over, and I was keen to get your thoughts on it, and this is why I didn't mention who was refereeing certain games, because there was chat going about that there was VAR appointments had been changed and clubs weren't being made aware of it. Now, I have actually heard that. I did actually speak to a couple of people today in regards to other things, and I know it was the news was kicking about. I don't know if it is completely true or not, but like again, that just in a week where I don't think the SFA had a good week in terms of other stuff, in terms of communication, like that's no great if that is happening. Like VAR's been, like, there's different appointments being made and then getting changed without clubs knowing. That's just not a great look.
Yeah, that's pretty poor, and especially when this new era was hastened in with the word transparency. That was used so often, and now you can't go by their appointment list because things changed. Yeah. Now, if there was reasons, then fine, you can let us know. But it wasn't just one, because apparently VAR yesterday for the United game was still down on the paperwork as Nick Walsh. That's no acceptable.
Yeah, it's not. It's not a good look. But let's go back to VAR. It's not the first time that the SFA have rushed something in and not got it right.
Yeah, and we're seeing that happen, and a certain other thing as well that we won't get to. But I mean, it's just a pretty bad look. Like, if you are even, I know obviously, like, referees, like, again, one thing with kind of even like non-league, you will see appointments, like, even amateur, you will see referee appointments, and I know for a fact there's times I'll go to games and it's not the same people. Like, you get to know the referees at that level. I'll go to games and it's not the same person that's been named on the website. So again, like, if it's happening there, and if it's happening there, I kind of understand it to the degree, because things can happen, but it shouldn't be happening in your top league. That should be absolutely unavoidable. That should be avoidable.
Things might happen, but if things happen, you say that the official's been changed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you make it open. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. In terms,
what do we all say? We'll be open. We'll be honest. You might not like it. If the SFA can say the same thing,
and that's the thing. I think a lot of people would just. I think it would ease a lot of people's frustration if it was just basically, this is what's happening, this is why it's happening, as opposed to, right, this is all changed, but we're not going to tell anybody about it. We'll just let other people moan about it, and then we'll not like what they say. That to me is just, I've never understood that at all. That just seems to be what's happening.
You're up yourself to criticism.
Yep, it's just they treat us. They treat us as punters with contempt, basically. That instance, they're thinking, we don't need to tell anybody that the officials have changed. It's nothing to do with them. That's just the way that they think. And that's why I keep saying transparency and say it laughingly, because unless some Damascus thing happens, it'll never change.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I used to love it when I used to see the Sunday. I used to love it when I seen the Sunday Mail and it was me and they put your name. I'm like, brilliant. Steve Conroy 4.
They don't do that now, do they, ref ratings? I don't see that as much. I know I'm not reading papers as much as I used to, but I know it used to happen in the Sunday Mail. I don't think it happens now.
No, it's still Steve Conroy 4.
Is it? Steve Conroy 4. That's it. But we do obviously have, in terms of, we're basically, as I say, clean kind of every weekend now, but we do have some midweek games this weekend, midweek. If anything happens, obviously we will be all over it. But we'll be back again next Sunday for a look at the weekend action. Obviously, we've got 5 games on Saturday in the Premiership, and then Ross County play Rangers at 12 on Sunday. And then the week after that, we've got a Rangers Celtic Cup final and Kelly play Hearts. So we're going to be busy the next few weeks. But all I've left to do now is thank my 2 co-hosts. First of all, Steve Conroy.
Cheers.
And Des Roach.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks, for this week's episode of The Rescue. And follow us on social media, and we'll be there wherever you get your podcast. Thanks very much indeed, folks.